Welcome to Unleash the Awesome with Dave Gambrill. All of us have unique skills, talents, and abilities that aren't being used to their full potential. Our mission is to share the people, tools, apps, and other resources that will help you unleash your awesome on the world.
Yo, what's up? It's Dave. Welcome to another episode of Unleash the Awesome, where today we talk about how to get traffic to your offers. And I'm thrilled to have my friend and special guest, Rachel Miller, who's a lifetime learner, a mom to 6 kiddos, serial business builder. She's built several multiple 6- and 7-figure businesses, authored multiple books. She now helps other businesses grow engaged audiences for their brands without ads. And she's helped 49 businesses get their content in front of more than 10 million people with virtually no ad spend. She is really, really good at helping you find and understand your audience and then build an audience. So the thing that you launch, your offer, your book, your course, your membership, whatever, you actually have a captive audience of people ready to buy. And that's what you'll hear us talk about in this discussion. The idea that if you build it and they will come is only in the movies. And so we'll talk about that. We also shared some really, really wonderful tips and tricks for how to get audiences fast, where to find them, and how to get your stuff out on social media in a way that it attracts the right clients. But before we jump into our conversation, I wanted to share another fun fact about Rachel Miller and I that I did not realize until we became friends and started having a conversation about it. We were both also featured on Good Morning America, live, national TV, for life hacks. She was on to talk about something about folding laundry for kids, and I was on for showing people how to close chip bags without a chip clip. And as a special bonus to all of you, I will share the links to those videos in the show notes. So this will be one of those times where you might actually want to look at the show notes. Okay. So without further ado, let's jump into my amazing conversation on how to get traffic to your offers with my friend, Rachel.
I know there's been a lot of stuff going on in the world with everybody moving online, and there's been iOS 14.5 with, all the privacy stuff between Facebook and Apple and all these things going on in the world. And one of the things that my audience struggles with a lot is they have this idea, I don't know where they got it from, maybe from a famous movie, of this idea of like, build it and they will come, right? And so they're building courses or they're writing books, but they're not building an audience and they're not building traffic to have that leading into what they're doing. So I guess my first question to you is, what's some new stuff you've seen in the last year or the last few months that is changing as it relates to building traffic and building audiences, and what should people be doing or thinking about right now?
Oh, I love that. I love how you're kind of tearing down the build it and then they will come, because the reality is you can build something amazing, but if it's in the middle of a cornfield in the middle of nowhere, Kansas, nobody knows it's there. And there was actually, I just read it, one of those articles on Yahoo News or whatever. And there was this mansion that they found in the middle of the woods in upstate New York. And it had been unoccupied for 40 something odd years. Wow. Nobody lived in it. Nobody did anything. They've got clothes. They've got food on the kitchen counter. It's just a complete, a mummified building. It's 50 years old. It's a beautiful mansion that nobody knows exists for 50 wow. years. And that's what could happen to all of our businesses. We could have a beautiful, beautiful business, but no one knows that it's even out there to enjoy and to use and to participate with. So yes. So what do you need for people to know that your mansion, your beautiful business that you're building is there? You can't be built in the middle of a logging camp, accessible only by 4x4 vehicle in the middle of nowhere, right? You need to have your building, your storefront, your product where people can see it. So in the current space, we go where the people are, and we also want to live in the middle of nowhere. So where do we go where the people are if we're not going to build our business on Times Square? We're going to go onto social media, and that could be Facebook. It could be TikTok. It could be Pinterest. It could be Instagram, which, guys, Instagram and Facebook are rolling out new tools, which they're basically the same product now. They're uniting them more and more in the feed. It could be a number of other platforms that are out there, name the platform of the day, right? For me, I love Facebook, and I love Pinterest, and I love YouTube. Those are my 3 favorite platforms. Facebook, because Facebook and Instagram are like the same thing on the back end and in the way that you can create content, and even in their content creation tools. So business suite tools are rolling out like this week. So awesome timing on this one, Dave. But business suite tools are rolling out where you're going to be able to schedule content between Instagram and Facebook. You're going to be able to do a Facebook Live and it be live on Instagram in your Instagram audience at the same time. So we're gonna have a lot of tools that basically make that feed one feed instead of two separate feeds. So Instagram and Facebook, and then Pinterest and YouTube, those are my favorite core traffic drivers, places where I go to make a traffic source so that I can drive traffic into my businesses, into my network. Yeah.
Awesome. And are you going there because that's where your audience is and that's where they're playing, or is there some strategy around YouTube being the second largest search engine besides Google, and there's some good traffic tricks and stuff you could do there? Or is it simply just that's where your audience is, so that's where you went?
Well, partly you want to go where your audience is, but partly you want to go to the place that's the easiest to get started in. Mm-hmm. So YouTube, it doesn't take a lot to begin creating content and to begin gamifying it inside of YouTube. So anyone can start right now and grow an audience on YouTube. You don't need to think, oh, well, that was something I missed the boat on. No, anybody can do that right now. Pinterest, anybody can go and grow an audience right now on Pinterest. And of course, my favorite one is Facebook, because the majority of people in the world are on Facebook socially. So Facebook is huge as well. So those would be the three places that I love to go, because it's something that's it's been a steady source of traffic for over 5 years. So I know if it's been traffic for 5 years, it'll probably be traffic for 5 more years. And so it's a good place to invest. And it's a place to invest my time, because I know I can get started right now and I can scale an audience right now. I don't need to wait for later. I don't need to think, oh, I missed the boat.
That's awesome. Yeah. And that's what a lot of people have a problem with, or they struggle with, is like, where do I start and how do I start and how do I scale? And I think the other question I get that you probably answer really well, way better than I could, is like, okay, so once I get on these platforms, what should I be doing? I get a lot of people that come on and they just go 100% business all the time. They're like, here's my thing. I'm launching this thing. Check out this thing, buy my thing. And like, you're probably repelling people by doing that. So
totally.
Is there like a sweet spot of engagement or things you think about as you're posting stuff out there?
I actually think, I'm laughing because right before we got on, we were talking about email lists, and I talked to you about how I'm going to have to purge about 30,000 of my email list because of non-engagement, right? Which is the same thing that just like we purge in email, which you guys know from Dave loves email and how awesome powerful email is. Just like we purge an email if we don't get engagement. Well, it's the same way on every social platform. If you're not getting engagement, you're putting out the wrong stuff, people are going to go run away. If you put out spammy headlines in email, well, guess what? You go to the junk folder. If you put out spammy content on Facebook, YouTube, Pinterest, all of the places, guess what? You get sent to the jail, or we're not going to show this to any one corner. And it's the same strategies really are the same in all of those places, which is kind of cool. So once you understand how to market in one, you can market in all. And the headlines that tend to work well with email also tend to work well in Facebook and Instagram and LinkedIn, Pinterest. The thing to remember is that you want to be consistent. So with email, if you're not consistent, you don't email them for a while, and then you email them all of a sudden, well, now you're going to see a bump in your spam reports. Well, in the same way, if you don't post on Facebook regularly and then you post a bunch, you're going to see a bump in your hides. So you want to be consistent, posting consistently, but you don't want to flood them with content nonstop, because then they're going to bail. And you don't want to always promote, because, well, like I'm noticing with my email, I had a little spike. I told you got to remove about 30-something thousand people. That's because I did 2 back-to-back promotions, and I'm actually in the middle of a third. And that was a really bad idea to agree to do 3 because my people are like, I think we're promotioned out, Rachel. I think we're done. We're unsubscribing. So for same way that I'm learning my lesson literally right now. And guys, this is something marketers, like, you think you learn it, but you're always going to relearn it. Like, I know not to do this, but I'll just slide in one more promotional post. It's so easy to do and so bad for you. And so anyway, so just like we need a ratio of content that's content's got high value for our audience inside of email, we want to do the same thing in promotional posts on Facebook or any of the platforms.
And are you recommending like 75% value and 25% call to action, or do you have a specific sequence that you suggest?
I love that you bought like a specific percentage. Do you have one that you suggest for email, Dave?
I don't, but generally I operate off of, I guess I read this in one of Gary Vee's books. I think it was jab, 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 right hook. And just this general idea of like, 3 gives to every ask. And I was like, okay, at least that's something I can operate from, or like have some idea. Cause I get it. This is both an art and a science. So no, to answer your question, I don't know specifically.
3 gives, 1 ask. I love that though. Jab, 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 hook. I love it. So yeah. 3 asks or 3 gives and 1 ask is really what I suggest for Facebook too. And it's funny, I wasn't doing that on email. So I got to learn something today. Thank you. Or you're reminded of something today.
And I think, and because you and I are both still students of the game, right? We're still looking at this stuff every day. We're measuring, and because it's an art and a science, I think people need to realize that too, is that this thing, once you start to think you have it figured out, it changes. It's always changing. And so you have to try it and publish and adapt. And your point about consistency is so key, but I think also being consistent and then consistently looking at what's it doing, and not just saying, well, this one post was a failure, so all those posts like that might be a failure. You have to just keep trying and trying and trying and trying. And it's just, I think most of the time it's more art than science. And then once you get the data, which I'm not super good with, but once you get the data, and I know you talk about ads and promoted posts and things like that, then you're like, oh, here's one that's working really well. Let's put some more money behind it, or some more, gasoline on the fire, and then this thing will take off.
It's so much fun whenever you can hit the gas pedal too. Like to see what happens when your business can blow up because you hit the gas pedal. It's just so exciting and so cool. But yes, you do need enough data. That's actually something interesting that you said, because I was actually just talking to my team about email. So where we were looking at it, we're like, well, Rachel, you can't decide if this one did good or bad because you only sent it out to 1,100 people. And frankly, that's not a big enough pool for us to decide if it did well or not, because frankly, they may have been doing something else at that time, or yada, yada, yada. So you need to have a pool of so many people, whatever the number is, my team says, like, and that we decide together that we're going to have as our statistically relevant point of data to decide if the email was good or if the email was a tank. So if it didn't reach that number of people, it's probably the fact that no one saw it, not the fact that my email was bad. But once you have enough people and then it still doesn't do well, now you're going to be like, okay, the reality is this is because my offer is bad, or my subject headline, or I need a different, whatever it is. My hook wasn't good enough. I didn't give enough gives. So that's when you can see when you have enough data. It's the same way in a Facebook page. We can begin growing our Facebook page, YouTube, replace Facebook page with any social media platform. We can begin putting out content, and we do need to put out content consistently, even when we'll have only 25 people on our email list, even when we only have 100 followers on our Facebook page, even when we have 200 or 2,000, because we need to have enough statistic data to be able to put it out there, right? So we're going to post consistently, but we're not going to be upset with the results until we have enough people. And for me with a Facebook page, that's when you have 4,000 engaged users on your Facebook page. Now for email, my team wants me to have actually 10,000 people getting an email to be able to say it's working or not, because of the metrics that they've decided can determine if it works or not. So for you, know that it's somewhere between 4,000 and 10,000 is where you want to go as your sweet spot to say, I have enough data now to say this is working. So those of us who are building these amazing products, like that mansion in the middle of nowhere, right? Those of us who are building these products and we think they're beautiful and we think they're amazing, the reality is they may only be amazing in our own heads. This mansion may have only been amazing in that designer's mind and no one else's. I thought it was still pretty, but no, my point is some people don't like the shack in the woods. So different people have different ideas of what's amazing. For us to assume that we know our audience, we have to have a conversation with them and we have to see them actually take action, right? So if you've got your offer and you put your offer out and only 50 people see it, well, it could be that you need to keep putting your offer out some more. So you need to put it out to the point where 4,000 people can see it. Well, now that it's reached 4,000 people, did you have 4? Did you have 8? Did you have 40 clicks over to purchase your product? If so, then okay, my product has some traction. My product has some legs. And yes, guys, I want you to sell more than 40 to 4,000 people. I truly do. But often it takes several times of putting it out for people to see something. They don't always catch on to it the first time they see it. So no, you're going to have to put it out there a little bit off. So you build your product, you build your audience, you build your product, then you test your audience and you see, does my audience want this product? And then you say, okay, well, is my audience even big enough to have made that decision? I'm going to keep promoting my product until my product is big enough, until my audience is big enough that I can say, oh, wait a second, they really don't want this. And then it's my audience is also big enough that I can go to them and say, well, what do you want? Like, how can I fix this for you? What can I give to you that would make this a no-brainer, amazing win for you? Does that help?
It does a lot. And thank you for sharing that, because it falls very much in line with what I tell my audience a lot about. Just go build a lemonade stand, get started, right? Get out there, work with what you have. And as you build and you scale and you grow and you build your audience and you start finding your voice, then you can ask them to co-create with you, because when they co-create something with you, they will buy it, right? So it's how do you get that feedback along the way? And I think, a lot of people ask me, Dave, should I build my audience first, or should I build my course or my product first? And I say, yes, because you could do them at the same time. You probably should be doing it at the same time because you can get some feedback from people. Yeah, that's interesting feedback. I wanted to clarify something you said before, because I think a lot of people, if they're not following you specifically, don't understand the difference between a Facebook page and a profile and a group. So you were talking before about a page, meaning a business page, not a personal profile. Is that accurate?
Yes. Okay. Facebook has several different, what I call parts of the ecosystem. So the ecosystem is where one person is online. So Dave, you're in Facebook groups, you have a profile, you have a business page. Are you on Instagram? Are you on Messenger?
Yep.
Okay, so then all of those places are Dave's ecosystem. So all of your users have different places that they're in that make up their online ecosystem. So knowing that everyone is in more than one place, we are not single dimensional people. We are multidimensional people. We got our fingers in all the pots, listening to all of the things. Then we want to do the same thing for our audience with our business. If our audience is in all of these places, then we want to be in all of these places. So what does that look like? That looks like, for me, I'm going to be active on my personal profile, talking about the things that I love and care about. I'm going to be active in groups, talking about the things that I love and care about. Other people's groups and my own groups. I'm going to be active inside of my page, because that's where my business gets to act and be a business. I'm going to be active on Instagram. I'm going to be active in Messenger, DMs, PMs. I'm going to be active also on LinkedIn, because there's a segment of my audience that's really active on LinkedIn. There's also a segment of my audience that wants nothing to do with LinkedIn, and they're on like Discord servers or like WhatsApp. So guess what? I have a small segment that I interact with on LinkedIn. I also have a small segment that I interact with on WhatsApp, because my international audience, that's where they tend to be. So just, you want to think, where are my audience at? And then be where they are. Now, before you're sitting there listening to me and they're like, wait a second, Rachel, you just talked about being on WhatsApp and Instagram and all of these places. Like, holy moly, girl, I'm out. Like, you don't need to be in all of those places, but you do need to think of where the majority of your audience is. So I like to 80-20 it. 80-20. What do I mean by that? Where is 80% of my audience active at least once every 2-3 days? Where's 80% of my audience active at least once every 2 or 3 days? 80% of my audience is active on Facebook. 80% of my audience is active on YouTube. So I want to, and Instagram. So I want to be active in those places. 80% of my audience is not active on TikTok. That doesn't mean TikTok's not useful. It just means it's not useful for my audience, right? Because my audience isn't as active on TikTok after I interviewed, or I did a survey to my 70-something thousand people in my email list, and I did it to my group. I asked them where they're most active. They're not active on TikTok. Now, that TikTok's huge. So I'm leaving that on the table. Eventually, I'll want to be on TikTok too, but I'm just going right now to where my audience is most active. So start with the biggest places. And then after that, be like, okay, where else are you active that I'm not? Oh, okay, WhatsApp. Well, that's really easy. All I have to do is a text message like once a week. Yeah, cool. I can do that. Okay, well, where else are you guys active at? Oh, LinkedIn. That's actually harder for me because I forget to log in there, but I'm trying. I made a calendar notification once in a while. I look at that calendar notification and I hop into LinkedIn and I leave a post so that LinkedIn gets a candy, right? But so my point is, do your 80-20, and then after you do your 80-20, which is go to those places where your audience is most likely. So that'd be Facebook, wherever those places your audience is almost certainly going to be in, top 3 places. That's probably a group. It's probably your business page, and it's possibly Instagram or YouTube. Like those, pick one of those three. You're probably going to need, three of those four. You're probably going to need to be in those places. And then after you've got those ones built, then spend maybe 10 minutes a week in one of the other ones until you start to grow there slowly. And before you know it, you're going to have a little bit of a piece of the pie everywhere, but you don't want to start all at once. And you do want to start in one right now and start on the one where it's easiest for you and easiest for your audience to find you. And for me, that's why I love Facebook. I know Facebook's getting sent through the ringer right now with all the changes, but people are still super active on Facebook. So that's where I do it.
I agree. They're there for me too. And I continue to be pretty active on that platform. One of the things that I wanted to follow up on what you said was you go in other people's groups and you are active in those groups, but I know you and I've seen you and I see how you operate in those groups. You're not doing what I see a lot of people doing, which is awful, which is going in other people's groups and doing calls to action or link dropping. So do you want to clarify or add some color to how you show up in other people's groups the right way?
Oh, I love how you said add some color. Okay, I've actually been accused of teaching people to spam in other people's communities. And I guess the tactics I teach people how to get people to pay attention to you and how to get people to pay attention to your business. And I guess those tactics can be overused and over abused in a lot of different places, including Facebook groups. But I don't want people to poach another community. So you're not going into a Facebook group to steal the customer there. You're not going in there to convince them to leave that group and come join yours. You're not going into a group to just sell your product. If you go from that mindset, people can smell it. I don't know how to explain it. Like, you don't have to, you can say, oh, I say all the right words, but they can smell your heart. Like people they just can't. Like you've all been in a circumstance where you just knew the person at the church tea. Okay. I'm at the church women's tea. I just know she's trying to sell me her MLM of the week, right? I just know it when I sit down next to the lady. I know what she's going to start with. And she asked this first question. I'm like, oh no, she's selling me her MLM. Like I know. And I know that just like I have that sixth sense, I had that sixth sense before I was a marketer, guys. It's not like I just developed that. That's a new thing. That's something I think everybody kind of has this feeling about. So we can smell a transaction. So we want to make sure whenever we're interacting with people, it's not a transaction unless it's after that give, jab, hook, was it? Yeah. The 3 gives, 1 to ask. So whenever I'm in somebody else's group, I'm not in a place where I get to ask because it's not my home. I don't get to walk into someone's house and like demand anything. That's not the way it works. Right? I'm the guest. So I get to give and give and give and give there because I'm there as the guest. I'm there on their turf. Now, when it's my spot, my turf, my group, I still want to give more than I ever asked. So you want to be in this mindset of giving, not as a transaction. So what does this look like when you're in somebody else's groups? This looks like showing up and asking people questions. This looks like showing up and celebrating when people have a win. This looks like going into their group and connecting someone who had a question with someone else who's already in that group, who's amazing at that topic. This comes in as responding with a funny meme when someone asks a question. This comes as if there's a chance to build up the person who runs the group. So when people ask a question that the owner of the group is like really dang good at, and you should be featuring them, well, feature the owner of that group. When you do that, you build up that person's platform. You're going to see that they notice you, that they love you, that they respond to you, that the group wants you there. They're not seeing you as poaching. They're seeing you as building into the group. And then in addition to that, you're going to see your own business and brand grow because people want to be around someone who's a giver, not a taker. And my business has grown exponentially. And I go into other people's groups and I don't go to poach. Do I get people to buy from me from other people's groups? Yes. But I don't ever leave my link. I don't ever tell people to PM me for something. I don't even respond when people say, Rachel's really good at this. You should ask Rachel. She has a program. I won't respond to that. I ignore it because I'm not there to sell my program. I'm there to give in other ways. So if somebody else says, if even in a group, when somebody says, oh, Rachel's program's the best, you should ask Rachel this question, I don't respond then, because I want to keep that group, not my pitch place. If people really want to find out about me, they'll PM me, they'll find me. So,
and that's the key. I think if you have all your stuff set up and you're easy to find, then people will find you. And that's amazing how that works. And I guess as I was thinking there, I guess if you go into people's groups and you are seen as an enhancement and you're edifying the owner of the group, then by default, your own authority grows, right? So that's just go in there and help people out. So awesome. Well, thank you for sharing that. I want to make sure people were very clear about that, because I see a lot of people link barfing in other people's groups. And in my group, sometimes I'm like,
there's link barfing, and then there's comment camping. And comment camping is a sneakier one, which is when they ask a question and then they answer every single reply on that one thread. Or not even every reply, every fifth, but they're not active anywhere else in your group. It's just one thread. And so they're just like comment, single thread over and over and over again. That's also kind of skeezy and weird, and don't do that.
Yes. People can pick that out from my way. I just had somebody in my own group. I don't know how long they've been in my group, but they just posted basically a call to action. I've never seen them do anything else in the group. And I was like, no, we're not going to.
That's essentially coming to someone else's party and standing on the table and saying, hey guys, come to my party. It's over here. It's better. Who does that?
Yeah. Oh, it's Rachel's birthday party. Well, it's my birthday too. So sing to me.
So let's sing.
Yeah, that's crazy. So, all right, we're on the same page on that. So I also understand that you have started a podcast, and I know a lot of people who would love for us to go longer and longer, but you and I just don't have the time of the day to do all that. You talk about a lot of this stuff on your new podcast called Traffic Makers. Do you want to share some of the episodes and some of the stuff you're talking about over there?
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, we've given some of our secrets of how one of our clients right now, last month, was able to reach 27 million people with one post, guys. This is in 2021, when everyone's saying like the algorithms hate us, and it's not true. And guys, it's not just been her. I've been able to do it with one piece of content on one of my social pages. And right now my Pinterest, we've been able to grow it to 32 million reach. So this is something that's working right now. So we teach you viral strategies in there. We teach you how to not get your account banned, how to get your ads approved, like what words that if you avoid them, you don't get you get your ads approved more quickly. We show you engagement stacking, how to get people to talk to your brand. We teach a lot of different fun little tactics. It's like a 10-minute snippet. Actually, some of them are 20 minutes. 10-minute, like here's a fast takeaway. You can instantly go leave and go do and implement and see your business grow.
That's what I love about it. It's so actionable. And I was listening to, I think it's episode 7 today about staying out of Facebook jail. And I was like, oh, I do one of those things. I should probably not be doing that thing. So even the people who think they're on the know, right? Listen to other people, they're a little smarter about that thing. And I was like, ooh, okay, I should probably avoid that. So it's called Traffic Makers. Is that correct?
That's
and it's available everywhere, I guess, on all the big podcast platforms.
Pretty sure it's on, I know we were on Spotify. I believe we're maybe even on Pandora Radio now. Wow. Google, obviously, iTunes, as many of the places we could find. So if we're not on yours, let me know. We'll get there.
Awesome. So I would encourage everybody to go listen to it. I'll make sure I put the links in the show notes. And before we go, Rachel, is there anything else, or I'm going to give you the table. Is there any other calls to action or places you'd love people to go get some more information about you? Or maybe I know you have some really cool resources you might want to tell people about.
Oh, thank you, Dave. I appreciate that. I do have a Facebook group called Grow Your Audience, where I love being available to answer questions. But more than that, I love what people can learn from you. Guys, affiliate marketing and using your email list effectively is the easiest way to get started. So you're in the right place, because Dave's got all those tips and tidbits to help you get that first bit going. And I'm super excited for everyone that's in your audience, because they're gonna see if they put what you're teaching them into action, even imperfect action, even before they have the product made or before they have their audience made. If they take those actions, they're going to see it multiply. And I love that they're here learning from you, Dave. Thank you so much for having me today.
Rachel, you're welcome. And thank you. And I think if they do what both of us are teaching, that's a good 1-2 punch where they'll have even more success. So if they tune into both of us and what we're doing, I think they can't help but be successful. So
I appreciate you. Thank you.
I appreciate you, Rachel. Thanks for coming on today.
For sure.
See ya.
Thanks for listening to Unleash the Awesome. Please be sure to subscribe, rate, and review wherever you listen to your podcasts. And please share us on your favorite social media platforms using #UnleashAwesome.